Hey everyone, Mr. MC here. This is a guide for round 1 of stage 2 of the 2022-2023 Manufacturers Cup exhibition season taking place on Nurburgring GP with the Group 3 cars. So taking a look at the race details, 15 lap race with a rolling start. All tires are available to be used for this race, but you have to use the racing medium and hard tires during the race so you don't get a 1 minute penalty when the race ends. Fuel is a ×2, tire wear is a ×5, and be aware that for the qualifier, it's a 5-minute qualifier with the tire wear at ×5. And as you can see, I am with Mazda this season, and be aware that the wind, direction, and speed changes every session, so pay attention to it because that will affect your braking and handling. But anyways, as we start the lap guide, go ahead and bring yourself towards the left side of the track and brake when the path on the left ends. So this is before the 100 meter board. Full braking power, bringing yourself towards the apex as there's a little dip that will help the car turn in a bit more. Go up to second gear, use a little bit of braking as you go through turn 2. Then bring yourself towards the right and brake before the green area on the right ends. Bring yourself all the way to the left side of the track, going down to first gear for more rotation, but exit turn 3 on second gear. Then go up to third gear with a little bit of a lift off of throttle so the car can turn in a bit more. And just be careful about going too wide out of turn 4. Brake when the track piece on the right ends. Shift down to third gear when you're ready to turn in. This car loves to turn a lot, so you don't want to shift down too early. Brake before the curb on the left ends, and again, shift down when you're ready to turn in because this car will turn in and you don't want to do it too early. Look for the start of the curb on the left as that is your braking point, so full braking power and you can kind of double apex it through this turn. Little lift off of throttle so the car can turn in a bit more. In the high downforce cars like the Mazda RX Vision, you can take the S's flat out, but for other cars you might need to do a lift off of throttle. Brake before the 100 meter board, so you're going to go down to third gear and try to bring yourself towards the left side of the track to get ready for this next turn. And you want to brake just a little early because you want to get the car positioned to face towards the back straight and then get on the throttle as soon as you can. And if you can, try to avoid touching the gravel because that can mess up your momentum. For the chicane, you want to bring yourself towards the right side of the track. Brake before the 100 meter board, so full braking power going down to second gear and try to take the chicane in as straight of a line as possible. The red and white curves are still part of track limits. Then look for the dry patch of grass on the left as that is your final braking point. Going down to second gear, letting the car coast for a moment so it could turn in a bit more and carefully get on the throttle as you end your lap. And that is it for the lap guide. Let's go ahead and take a look at the race strategies. For this race, we are doing 15 laps at Nurburgring GP with the Group 3 cars. And as I mentioned earlier in the video, fuel is a ×2, which is not an issue at all for this race. Tire is a ×5, which will be the main issue for this race. All racing tires are available, but only the racing medium and hard tires are required for this race, so you will need to use the racing medium and hard tires during the race for at least 1 lap each, so you don't get a 1 minute penalty after the race ends. And I'm going to be pretty straightforward with this. Only use the racing soft tires for the qualifying. Once the qualifier ends, immediately switch over to either the racing medium tires if you're starting in the front, or the racing hard tires if you're starting towards the middle or the back. And this is because you only want to do a one stop using the racing medium and hard tires depending on where you're starting. If you try to go for the 2-stop, which uses all 3 tire compounds, it's going to be too slow. It's not viable at all, and I'll show a bit of that later in this video. And as we saw in the recent Delhi Race C, which was the same exact combination, track position is going to be pretty important as it is not that easy to get a pass done here at Nurburgring GP. And because this race is pretty much Delhi Race C except a bit longer. There's going to be a lot of strategy being played out. There's going to be a lot of people trying to go for a big undercut or a small undercut, undercuts in general, especially if they're starting on the racing hard tires. So people are going to do whatever they can to try to gain some positions and try to do it through the strategy itself, or try to be really aggressive if they see an opening. In terms of the racing medium tires, they last anywhere from 8 to 10 laps, but this is going to vary depending on the car that you're using. So if your car is not the greatest on tire wear, then they may only last 8 laps. But if your car is good on tire wear, then it's possible to make the racing medium tires last 9 or even 10 laps. So here I am on lap 7. So lap 6 was actually where the tire wear started to kick in. So it's around this point in the race where you want to start to drive a bit more carefully as the tire wear is starting to kick in. And then skipping over towards the end of lap 10, yeah, the tire wear is pretty much a big thing now, as I'm losing around 1.5 seconds per lap now. In this scenario, I probably could have pitted as early as lap 9, but I decided to go for 10 laps to see how the tires were. Still manageable, but I can tell that I'm starting to lose quite a bit of time. So gonna go ahead and enter the pit stop, switch over from the racing medium to the racing hard tires. So I'm only going to pit one time. Your pit loss for this race is going to be 22 seconds, and this is only for a tire change. And with that 22-second pit loss, you can kind of get an idea that the 2-stop is not going to work. But here we go, changing over to the racing hard tires, and just be nice and careful coming out of the pit stops, because you want to brake before you pass the line that goes across the track. That way you can safely navigate through the first turn. So there we go, nice and easy, just like that. And actually I do make a bit of an error, because in lap 13 I ended up having a really weird line and ended up making a bit of an oopsie right there. Ended up costing me 3 seconds. So try to be a little careful coming through the first turn, because that can be a thing and you definitely don't want to make that kind of error. But anyway, skipping over towards the end of lap 15. So my lap times on the racing hard tires were around 1.5 seconds per lap slower than my lap times on the racing medium tires. So I think I pitted at around the right time, laps 9 or 10 is the right time for me to pit on in. But at the end of this race, not counting the big oopsie I made at the start of lap 13, this run was 29 minutes and 15 seconds long, with my fastest lap of 154.8. But now over to the 2-stop. I'm gonna try to keep this one brief, because this strategy is just not going to work. I just want to show you that I did try this strategy out. So problems with the 2-stop. One, well, you have to make another pit stop, so you're losing another 22 seconds. The other thing is that the racing soft tires, they don't last that long at all. They last around 5 to 6 laps. So yeah, they're not going to last long enough to give you the benefit that they provide, which is more grip. So once you're getting close to halfway into the race, these tires are pretty much fully worn out. They're no longer good. So now it's time to go on over to the pit stop, and then switch over to the racing medium or hard tires, depending on the tire order that you want to do. But either way, the 2-stop is not going to work, because with this run I finished with a total time of 29 minutes and 30 seconds, so around 15 seconds slower than my 2-stop run, without counting the oopsie that I made. So to summarize this video, use the racing soft tires for qualifying only. In the race, use the racing medium and hard tires. Medium tires if you're starting in the front, hard tires if you're starting in the middle or in the back. And the racing medium tires last 8 to 10 laps depending on the car that you're using. And that is it for this video. And yeah, so that's all for me. Thank you for the support. This is Mr. MCA. Good luck with your race, and I'll see you in the next video.